On October 14, 1994, the community of Boise, Idaho was shaken by the disappearance of 17-year-old Krystyn Rae Dunlap. She left a note for her family saying she needed time away, but promised she would return within a year. Unlike her past short disappearances, Krystyn never came back, and her case has since shifted from a presumed runaway to an endangered missing person investigation where foul play is suspected. Krystyn's home life had been difficult. She lived in a blended family, was coping with the loss of her father, and struggled with ADHD, which often created challenges both at home and at school. Though she had run away before, she always returned within days and stayed in contact. Her sudden disappearance in October 1994 was out of character and deeply concerning. Born on January 24, 1977, Krystyn was the middle child in her family and especially close to her younger brother. Friends and relatives described her as creative, funny, and caring. She loved music, listening to artists like Queen Latifah, Garth Brooks, and Led Zeppelin, and enjoyed simple joys such as hacky sack and pulling lighthearted pranks. Despite personal struggles, her lively personality left a strong impression on those around her. But her teenage years were also marked by instability. Krystyn began a relationship with Charles Corey Castro, a man nearly 10 years older, who was reportedly married and on parole at the time. Because she was only 17, the relationship was not only unhealthy, but also illegal. According to both family members and police records, Krystyn's relationship with Charles Corey Castro was abusive. She told friends that he had physically assaulted her and threatened her if she went to the police. Her mother, Kim, repeatedly reported the situation to Castro's parole officer, but the abuse appeared to continue. On October 14, 1994, Krystyn left her home in Boise and vanished. Her family reported her missing 2 days later. In the note she left behind, Krystyn promised to return within a year. Friends later shared that she had talked about wanting to travel to Oregon to escape the relationship. In the weeks after she left, there were several unconfirmed reports of friends and acquaintances seeing or hearing from her. Krystyn briefly took a job at a hotel in McCall, Idaho, but reportedly worked only 1 day before disappearing again. By mid-December 1994, all contact stopped. Krystyn no longer collected her Social Security benefits from her father's death, and from that point on, she was never seen or heard from again. At first, investigators believed Krystyn had simply run away, given her history of short disappearances. But as the years passed without any sign of her, the case was reclassified, in 1998, when she turned 21, as an endangered missing person case. Police no longer believed she had left voluntarily. One key lead in the case centers on a gray 1989 Z28 Camaro with VIN number 1G1FP21E3KL147418. Authorities believe the vehicle may have been connected to Krystyn's disappearance and possibly used to move her if foul play occurred. According to Idaho news reports, the car changed hands several times over the years and was last traced to Sun Valley, Nevada, around 2003. Despite years of searching, the gray 1989 Z28 Camaro linked to Krystyn's case has never been found. Records show no evidence that it was scrapped or legally sold, leaving its whereabouts unknown. Charles Corey Castro, the man Krystyn had been involved with, was among the last people known to see her alive. After her disappearance, he began a new relationship, but in 1998 he was convicted of sexually abusing his partner's child and added to the sex offender registry. In 2011, investigators questioned him about Krystyn's case. He denied any role in her disappearance and reportedly passed a polygraph test, though such tests are not considered reliable proof. On January 3, 2022, Castro was killed by law enforcement, officers in Murphy, Idaho. Authorities were serving him with a civil protection order when he reportedly became aggressive, pulled a weapon, and refused to comply. Officers responded with deadly force. Krystyn's case was formally reopened in March 2011 by Boise police detectives as part of a cold case review. Investigators re-interviewed witnesses and re-examined records in national missing person databases. Detective Chuck Roth told Idaho News, "This is no longer a missing person case. It's a murder we're trying to investigate." Unfortunately, all available leads were eventually exhausted, and while the case went inactive again, it remains officially open. Roth urged the public to think of Krystyn's family, saying, "We're trying to get the final piece of the puzzle so the family can move forward and justice is served." Today, Krystyn is remembered not just as a missing person, but as a daughter, sister, and friend. Her family still holds annual vigils in Idaho and continues to keep her story alive. Renewed attention from local media and true crime communities has brought more eyes to the case, and while her family believes Krystyn likely is no longer alive, they continue to hope for answers. Her mother, Kim Bossy, told the Spokesman Review, "It's an unbelievable feeling not knowing where your child lays somewhere out there. We are all looking for closure for Krystyn. She will live on in our hearts and minds forever." At the time of her disappearance in 1994, Krystyn Rae Dunlap Boss was 17 years old. She is described as Caucasian, with blonde hair and green eyes, 5'4" tall, and about 140 pounds. She had a 1-inch scar on her buttocks, wore glasses, and had been diagnosed with ADHD. She often went by Christy and may have used the last name Dunlap. If alive today, Krystyn would be 48 years old. The Boise Police Department continues to ask anyone with information about Krystyn's disappearance, the 1989 Camaro, or Charles Castro's activities in 1994 to come forward. Even the smallest detail may be the key to solving this case. Anyone with information is urged to call Boise Police at 208-377-6790.